What's up everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about the cost of housing. The cost of housing has been spiraling out of control for a very long time now, but I think we've just started to reach the point where people just can't take it anymore. So today we'll take a look at some of the craziest TikToks I could find on this topic to get a better idea of what's going on. I post up to 5 videos a week on a variety of topics, and if that sounds like something that interests you, consider subscribing to the channel. With that, let's get right into it. In most people's lives, generally their most prized possession, or at least their biggest expense, is their housing. If you own a home, it's usually the most expensive thing that you own. If you rent, it's probably the thing you spend most of your money on. It's that second one, though, that forces many people to stay in the same stage in their life and inhibits them from progressing any further. It used to be a very well-known financial tip to not spend more than 30% of your income on housing so you can save up for other assets in retirement, but that's just becoming impossible. Housing is a large reason for why I still lived paycheck to paycheck despite earning 6 figures in Denver just a few years ago. Since then, things have gotten even worse, and people are taking to TikTok to let the world know about it. First up, we're checking out a video by a dude named Mike. Mike has a pretty good theory about just how bad it is out there.
This is why I feel like the cost of living has never been as bad as it is right now. Because it used to be when the cost of living was high, it was just for the things that you need in life. Food, gas, shelter, etc. All those things cost a lot of money. Right now, all of those things still cost a lot of money. And also, I feel like it's just expensive to just be alive. Like, I feel like my life as soon as I wake up is literally just me putting down a credit card. And it's just a tab. And life is a bartender. And it's just like, what are you going to have? And I'm just like, I'm okay. I don't really need anything today. And it's just like, oh, really? Well, if you're going to be here, you're going to need to spend money. And I'm just like, what do you mean here? I'm just in the world. And it's just like, yeah, you have to buy something now. It's even getting to the point where, like, I feel like even my thoughts are getting expensive, you know? Like I could just have the thought of like, my nose is a little stuffy. And then all of a sudden, I open up my phone 10 minutes later and have 12 ads for like, oh, you have a pollen allergy and you got to buy these anti-pollen allergy pills or you're going to suffocate in your sleep. Sleep is the only place I still feel kind of safe. But even there, it's like I could have sleep problems for one night and then I wake up feeling kind of groggy and all of a sudden I'm getting targeted ads for melatonin gummies. It's like all of our necessities are still expensive, and then also just every increment of our life costs something.
It's definitely an extremely tough world out there right now. With our phones listening to us talk, stealing all of our data, and serving us up personal ads, the modern world today has been specifically designed to get you to spend your money as quickly as possible. The problem is, when you're spending 80% of your income on housing, you don't even have the money to spend on those other things. Next up, we've got a video from Sammy. She brings up a lot of good points about living alone and how hard it is, which is something I used to deal with myself.
I just got my new lease agreement because my lease ends next month and freaking out a little bit. Every single year, my rent has gone up by $100. I live by myself. I pay the entirety of the rent on my own. My new rent starting next month is $1,200. $1,200. For one, I don't know how I've even been paying $1,100 for the past month. I don't know how I've been doing it, but I've been doing it. Barely. To divulge some extra information that I probably should not divulge, I get paid every week. And for 2 weeks, I can't touch my paycheck, not even $1, because those 2 paychecks have to go to rent. I essentially don't have any money for 3 weeks most of the time during the month. And that just repeats month after month after month. So I'm not sure about what we're gonna do going forward. Luckily it's my birthday next week, and I am going to get a chunk of change that I will be holding on to for dear life. But this is like a big reason why I wanted to be a part of the Creator Fund, because I cannot afford the cost of living, and I need to get my dog a behaviorist, which I also cannot afford. I need to pay off my credit cards, which I cannot afford to do. They have been closed for 3 years. I have been paying them off for 3 years. And I did try looking into like getting a part-time job, but I simply do not have time on top of my full-time job and having a dog that, I need to be home for. So if y'all know any way to make extra money that isn't, OF or something of that sort, and isn't something that I need to leave the house for, because I have my dog, let me fucking know. Let me fucking know. I'm poorer today than I was yesterday, and I'm just gonna keep getting more and more poor, so.
Dude, she's actually incredibly lucky that she only pays $1,200. The average rent in the US right now is $1,739. That's for a one bed. I think it's really sad that she's stuck in a place where she's looking forward to birthday money to have such an impact on her life. It used to be that birthday money went to something fun that you wanted, and now it just seems to be helping people get by. Where's the fun in that? It sucks that it seems like she got herself into some credit card debt, but that certainly seems to be the norm nowadays. Now we're gonna hop over to another video by Grayson, and she's asking an important question. How are people even surviving right now?
How are people affording life right now? How are people tackling this cost of living?
We're not. Truth of the matter, most of us are living paycheck to paycheck with credit card debt. I know people who are legitimately putting gas and groceries on credit cards just so that they can get back and forth to work. I believe that this is what most people are now calling the silent depression. $100 has become the new $20, and it's ridiculous, but the best thing about it is that people have shifted their core values. Look at this app alone and all the videos of all the retailers on Black Friday that nobody was there. They just don't care anymore. People are realizing that if it doesn't bring value into my life, then I don't need it. And while I don't get political on this app, you're having people on both sides of the aisles going, yeah, this kind of sucks. Right wing, left wing, it doesn't matter. It's the same bird. And now so many Americans are going, I don't care. I think it's woken a lot of people up to the idea of why are we funding things that we don't care about when all of us right here are struggling. It's changed the people's attitude in the workforce to where a job is just a job. You used to be very loyal to a job, but they've seen that there's no employee loyalty because there's no employer loyalty. People aren't putting up with toxic bosses anymore. You're either going to treat me right or I'm going to leave, because there's tons of companies that are hiring because nobody can find help. People just don't trust the system anymore, and they're starting to focus on what matters the most. Most people are out here making more money than they ever have and realizing that it's not going anywhere. So they're just not spending it. And what has made a lot of people turn their back on the system is that now they somehow either make too much or not enough money to qualify for the government assistance that they've been paying into their entire life. There are people out there who can't afford to buy the groceries, but they make too much money to get the food stamps. A lot of people are out here calling it the depression. I like to call it the awakening. People are just realizing how much they can get done on their own and that they don't need the government to hold their hand. So to go back to your question, how are people making it? Financially, I don't really know, but I'm very grateful that people are starting to look for answers.
This guy's got a super powerful message. I normally want to try and push people away from credit card debt and urge them to get impulsive spending under control, but that doesn't even seem to be where the debt is coming from right now. Like he said, sometimes people are putting bare necessities on credit cards because they don't have a choice. I really like how he looped in the workplace toxicity into the whole thing too, because that's also a huge issue. I have always said this essentially since my second job ever, but the best way, hands down, to get a raise at your job is to switch companies. I have never once been offered a fair raise for sticking around and working my butt off, and I've even really fought for raises before. I honestly don't even recommend staying with one company for longer than 2 years. Apply to a different company. If they ask you what you're currently making, puff that number up a little bit, and then take the new job at a higher rate. Rinse and repeat. It's really unfortunate companies absolutely do not value loyalty anymore. Companies used to offer equity to some employees for sticking around, and now they would definitely laugh in your face if you asked about it. Tech companies lay off thousands of people with a smile on their face. It's truly an unforgiving world in the workplace right now. In addition to that, there's a real sense of pride and ownership. You know, you own that thing. It's yours. Like land. If you own land, you're going to want to take care of it and tend to it. Whereas if you're renting, you're paying tons of money to live in this place, and at the end of the day, it's not even yours. And the landlord can essentially do whatever they want at any time. They could just kick you out if they want. With how landlord-tenant law is structured in this country, it essentially gives landlords the power to do whatever they want. On top of that, I've noticed both landlords and employees doing this, but they will do blatantly illegal things against their tenants or employees because they know they won't sue them. No one has the money to hire a lawyer to fight over, a couple $1,000. That just doesn't happen. So these companies just bully people around all the time and totally get away with it. I really hope that we can come up with a solution to this huge problem because it's just gotten so unbelievably bad. And like you saw the guy in the last video, like he looks exhausted. And I think a lot of us are. You're totally working your butt off and most of your paycheck is gone before you even get it. Housing is a huge part of that, but so is everything else. Food, commodities, your car, literally everything. And at the rate people are going, I just don't see this sustainable for the masses. I think we're going to see a lot of people start burning out, and then I'm not sure what happens next. If you're out there struggling, keep on fighting, and I really hope good things come your way. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. What expenses are making you guys struggle right now, and how are you making it work? Let me know in the comments down below. If you'd like to support the channel, don't forget to like the video and consider subscribing. With that, we'll see you guys tomorrow.